This is what we get for no snow on Trick or Treat.
Breaking records.
I think they're just now plowing the streets.
It's the calm after the storm.
It's a marshmallow world for sure.
Southcentral Alaska is hunkered down following 2 record-breaking snowfalls in the past 5 days.
I've lived here all my life, and I haven't seen the roads this bad, I don't think.
It's the most snow ever to fall in Anchorage during the first 2 weeks of November.
We've cleared our driveway, but it's like gonna fill up again in a few hours, so.
With all hands on deck.
We've been working around the clock since Monday. We called all of crews in.
Here's to hoping for a long break in the snow and a chance to dig up.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
Tonight, Anchorage's mayor declares a state of emergency after more than 17 inches of snow fell in the last 2 days and more than 25 inches this week, breaking multiple records.
Schools closed, thousands of people remain without power, and snowplows working around the clock. We have teams stationed around Anchorage tonight to bring us the latest on the plowing operations, those power outages, school closures, and tomorrow's commutes.
We'll head first to Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry for what more we can expect from this storm. Melissa.
Yeah, Mike and Maria, good news is most of that heavy snow has finally tapered off here just in the last about hour and a half. We are seeing much calmer conditions again after 2 straight days of that heavy snow. The radar is finally quite quiet. There are no weather alerts in effect for South Central this evening. A few light snow showers remain in the Susitna Valley. We still have scattered rain showers across Prince William Sound. And all of us will see that potential for some isolated snow showers here over the next 36 hours, but definitely seeing an end to that major storm. Temperatures now at or below freezing for the entire Anchorage Bowl. That means anything that is now liquid on the roads will likely be frozen overnight. Again, record-setting snow all piled up on the roads. Meteorologist Jackie Purcell is standing by live tonight in Midtown with a closer look at the conditions there now that the snow has at least temporarily stopped. Jackie, how is it out there?
Well, Melissa, we are here at a very busy intersection for the city of Anchorage, and yes, it is very rutted at this intersection and very slushy. You can see some of that traffic going through some of that slush, and as you mentioned, it's going to be icy, crusty slush by tomorrow morning, so that's going to be somewhat difficult to deal with. We've seen some pedestrian traffic, we've seen some bike traffic, and of course vehicle traffic, and this intersection, no accidents that we've seen, and we've seen plenty of snow plows. Again, look how deep it is. It's almost up to my knees. So the pedestrians, they're walking kind of slow. And also, you know who's going to be looking for an easier pathway? Wildlife, moose especially. So do be careful. Those moose are going to be taking to those roads. And also, we talked about have some fun. So we made a little snowman here. It stuck together. He's kind of surprised that all the snow came. So back to you.
That's an impressive snowman. I like that. Now, that snow, it is a heavy, wet snow, and it is causing numerous power outages across the area. Chugach Electric reported as many as about 5,000 customers without power at one time here in Anchorage and in the surrounding areas. Georgina Fernandez joins us now with a live look outside Chugach Electric with the latest on the power situation there.
Melissa, utility says with the ongoing conditions we are seeing right now, the crews in the field were faced with more challenges. Now, earlier today, 14 crews worked around Anchorage to repair outages. The heavy and wet snowfall, the company says, placed a heavy load on the power lines. That and trees touching the power lines are all things the company said could have led to those outages.
So we have crews, multiple crews out running from one outage to another, trying to restore them. But often you'll get one restored in one neighborhood, and there's another one that triggers a couple.
Chugach Electric says with the ongoing conditions we are seeing, we could potentially be seeing power outages into tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Georgina. And now to the north and south, we're also seeing heavy snow and in some areas icy conditions. Tracy Sinclair is keeping a close eye on those roads across South Central tonight. She joins us with a look at the current situation. Tracy.
Yeah, Melissa, earlier today, Turnagain Pass was closed due to that heavy snow. It has reopened, and you can kind of see from the pictures that we're getting, really, there's just a lot of snow still out there. You can see it piled on the sides of the roads, but we're also starting to see some of those wet roads turn a little bit icy. Already seeing what was more slush starting to freeze up as you move through the evening hours. We're also moving into the areas around Eagle River, and this area around the Eagle River Bridge, bridges will often start to freeze up earlier. This is the S-curve out on the Glen Highway. Slushy roads now, but by tomorrow morning, you're going to be dealing with more freezing conditions and still reduced visibility.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Now, schools were closed today, but the term snow day doesn't have the same meaning for kids today that it did for kids of past generations. Steve Kirch is live at Willowcrest Elementary School tonight with how schools are being impacted today. Steve.
Kids from this school behind me here were able to stay home today, but they weren't exactly able to go outside and play in the snow. With advances in technology, kids are able to learn remotely on snow days. Today, I caught up with one teacher from Government Hill Elementary who was reading to his kids from the seat of his couch this afternoon. However, he says one of the downfalls is not all kids have the technology to learn remotely on days like today. However, one student I talked to today who was learning remotely said she missed being in school today because she misses being in school. But she did say she enjoyed shoveling the driveway this afternoon because her dad paid her to do it. Dad says he likes that his kids are able to learn remotely on snow days.
It keeps the kids engaged, and so when they do end up going back to school, they're not, not missing a beat. So, and they're not definitely outside all day, which is not a bad thing, but it's good to keep them engaged.
A spokesman with the Anchorage School District says all extracurricular activities after school were canceled today, as well as tomorrow's in-service day.
Great to see those kids helping out with that shoveling chore. Now, some people did venture outside today, including our own Lauren Maxwell. She's been out most of the day listening to what people have to say about all this snow. Lauren, what's the feeling?
Well, that's right. I think as Alaskans, we all know it's coming, but this big, this early, well, it took some of us by surprise. We did speak with some people today who were out braving the weather. Welcome to winter.
It's a marshmallow world for sure.
The snow has arrived, like it.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Or not.
I was enough before it even started.
We found most of the folks who were out and about were hard at work.
It's really heavy. Heavier than usual.
Have you had enough?
Yes, please. Stop.
A thought that was echoed
Less than good.
by several more. But others were clearly enjoying the chance to get out and play.
Beautiful snow, and it slows down the city, which is great. Hey, that's a little too close.
As for when it will stop,
Maybe a couple months after January.
nobody knows. Whether you're prepared or not,
We were hoping to have a little bit more time here.
Mother Nature has had her say. It looks like our snow is here to stay. Now, I have to say, I think it's beautiful, especially on the trees. I love how the snow gets all over the trees, but it's a lot nicer when you don't have to shovel it and you don't have to drive in it, and that's a fact. Back to you.
Yeah, Lauren, nice to look at it from inside out the window. Now, we are again still seeing chances for some snow showers in the area, but I want to show you the snowfall totals, which represent this storm. 65 inches at Thompson Pass north of Valdez. That is obviously why the road was closed there for overnight into early today. More than 36 inches of snow in Girdwood, and at times that was coming down as rain. Into the Anchorage Bowl, it was 17 inches officially there on the west side of town, but we did see as much as 29 inches of snow on the east side of town and a foot plus for those of you in the valley today. Now, again, most of that precipitation has come to an end. We are still seeing rain in Valdez and in Cordova, and all of us will see chances for those isolated snow showers overnight tonight into tomorrow all the way through Thursday. Again, temperatures dropping below freezing overnight. Really important that you're prepared for those icy slick conditions again Friday morning. I'll have a look at the full statewide forecast and those records that we set here in just a few minutes.
All right, Melissa, we'll see you then. Thanks. Well, Mayor Dave Bronson will be joining us live here in our studio at 6:30 tonight to bring us the very latest on his newly declared state of emergency and what that means for the cleanup efforts.
For the latest on road conditions, storm impacts, winter weather advisories, and much more, you can download the Alaska's News Source or weather app.
And more breaking news tonight. A federal judge has upheld the Biden administration's approval of the massive Willow oil drilling project on Alaska's North Slope.
U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Gleason rejected requests by a grassroots Inupiat group and environmentalists to vacate the project's approval. She dismissed their claims against Willow, which is in federally designated National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska.
We had millions of people sign on to stop this project. We have had countless groups. We have had folks like the Cook Corporation of Nooksit be leery about this project because of how much is at stake.
Now, the Alaska congressional delegation making a joint statement tonight in support of the court's decision to dismiss challenges to the Willow project. Governor Mike Dunleavy saying today also in part, quote, Willow will demonstrate once again that Alaska develops its resources with the most stringent environmental standards in the world. The Willow project will create new jobs, higher revenue, and increase the nation's overall energy security. Still ahead tonight, a look at the numbers.
Our investigative team reports on another death relating to the Department of Corrections, but there's a discrepancy in just how many lives were lost.
You're watching Alaska's News Source.
Tonight, our investigative team looks at the number of people, inmates, who have died this year in Alaska prisons. By the ACLU's count, it's 11.
The State Department of Corrections says it's 8. Rebecca Palsha is here now to explain the difference in the numbers.
Well, Angelina McCord of Tyonek had been at Highland Mountain Correctional Center for 5 days. She was 29 at the time. McCord had a seizure at Highland and was taken to Alaska Regional, where she was put on life support and eventually died. Now, she had been facing a shoplifting charge, but that charge was dismissed. McCord was taken off life support on the 10th of October. Because the charges were dropped, McCord's death, state officials say, does not count her death in their total of people who have died in custody. The ACLU of Alaska says this isn't the first time a prisoner taken from a DOC facility for a medical emergency has been released from custody shortly before they died in a hospital.
While Ms. McCord was on life support, the state of Alaska dropped the only charge that had been brought against her, which was a minor shoplifting charge, which was theft of more than $50.
The DOC says this year 41 people have been taken from a DOC custody to a hospital for emergency care. 5 times this year, officials say, charges were dropped after a prisoner went to the hospital. And even though 3 of those 5 people died, the state says they will not be added to the count of those dying in custody.
All right, thanks, Rebecca. If you have a tip for our investigative team, email us at 2investigates@ktuu.com or call us at 833-907-TIPS. You can find details on all of our investigative reports at alaskasnewssource.com.
You're watching Alaska's Weather Source.
Hey, welcome back. That snow falling all day yesterday through the night, all day today, weighing on those trees, especially heavy here through the afternoon. You can see it pounding the camera lens, piling up on those roadways, but as it tapered off, a nice little sliver of a sunset here this evening. Again, 25.2 inches is what we have seen in the past 5 days. Record snowfall on Sunday, record snowfall yesterday, and then another 8 inches out there today. This is a look at some of the records that we have said. This is the most snow ever recorded for the first 2 weeks of November, the 4th highest season-to-date snowfall. 26.4 inches, coming in with just 3 storm systems so far this year. The last time this much snow fell across 2 days in the month of November was back in 1964. So yes, one for the record book. 17 inches officially with this storm, as much as 29 inches for the upper Anchorage hillside, 18 inches in Eagle River, 25 inches for the upper Eagle River hillside, again, just in the past 2 days. Now, most of that has come to an end. A little light snow in the Susitna Valley, seeing those scattered rain showers there across the Cop River Basin. But we're also now seeing this moisture pushing north, snow across the interior, seeing snow and high winds up on the slope, and a storm headed for western Alaska this weekend. We do have blizzard warnings still in effect for the slope, We still have those high wind warnings in effect for portions of the interior. And then out west, winter storm watches in effect as another large storm system will move in this weekend. Right now, again, much calmer here in Anchorage, but those temperatures, they are dropping. Now 31 degrees in Anchorage. So calmer here, but look at the winds that we've been seeing with this storm to 68 miles per hour in Ketchikan, up to 72 miles per hour in Dead Horse. And on the slope, blowing snow will continue to be a concern tonight and tomorrow. Once we get into the weekend, again, still seeing snow here over the next 36 hours in Anchorage. A little bit more moisture pushes in late Friday and Saturday, but Saturday, Sunday, most of the state gets a break until that next storm system pushes into western Alaska. Snow and high winds there, and eventually we'll see more snow here in Anchorage later into early next week. Now, across the Anchorage Bowl, across all of South Central, those temperatures dropping below freezing tonight. So be prepared for icy, slick road conditions. As we look ahead, again, chances for snow lingering all the way through early Saturday, but then drier, calmer, sunnier this weekend. Temperatures, they do drop down into the teens. We do see another chance for snow on Monday and then off and on through the middle part of next week. But Mike and Maria, nice that we'll have at least the weekend to kind of dig out from the storm before we get more snow again next week.
We need some shoveling time.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
there's some good news there.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Melissa.
Thanks.
All right, while we're dealing with all this intense weather, it is nothing compared to what the men and women who protect our freedom deal with on a daily basis.
This Saturday, November 11th, is Veterans Day. The federal holiday was first designated after World War I, when fighting is said to have ended on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month in the year 1918.
Now, ahead of the national holiday, the Last Frontier Honor Flight celebrated its 10th anniversary. It was such a big occasion that Alaska's news source sent two of our reporters all the way to Washington, D.C. to cover the trip.
This flight is incredible because this is our 10th anniversary. It's hard to believe that we made it 10 years. You know, back when they first started, it was it was kind of iffy that we would be able to make it, but just amazing.
Carly Schreck was one of the reporters who got to experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. She joins us now live from Palmer to describe the emotion of it all.
Carly, this was a 5-day trip with 2 days in Washington, D.C., visiting the monuments and war memorials, but there were other stops on this trip as well, right?
Absolutely. There were other stops. First, we stopped in Portland and overnight there because, frankly, flying all the way to D.C. is just a little bit too big of a trip to do in one day. And when we get to Portland, pretty much everywhere we went, we were greeted by people. When we got to the Portland airport, we had members of the Coast Guard and the Coast Guard Auxiliary helping the veterans load the luggage. And then when we got to the hotel as well, the Patriot Guard Riders of America were there holding flags in the pouring rain, I should add as well, and greeting all the veterans as they came off the bus, saluting them, shaking their hands, thanking them for their service.
The documentary airing tomorrow night captures the veterans' emotional reactions while visiting the memorials. But I have to ask, what was it like as a reporter to witness those special moments?
It's hard. It's a very emotional journey for these veterans, and you know, Beth and I were watching this process unfold through the lens of our cameras, and so we really at moments had to take a step back ourselves and try and keep our emotions in check, and it was difficult.
Carly, you shared that there was a moment in Portland at the airport there where you struggled to keep your emotions at bay. Tell us what happened and why that moment made such a big impact on you.
Absolutely. There was a perfect stranger that had approached me in the airport after we had gotten done interviewing one of the veterans, and he had just tears in his eyes, and he explained to me that he was on the flight down to Portland, and now he just so happened to be on the flight back to Anchorage, and he asked me, how lucky am I that I get to be on both flights with his veterans? And it was about then when I realized the gravity of the situation and just how important it was what these veterans did for our country and what the honor flight is now doing for them.
And thank you so much, Carly, for sharing that with us. Taking Flight, Honoring Alaska's Veterans airs tomorrow. Watch as our team follows a group of World War II, Korean, and Vietnam War veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials built in their honor. Again, that special airs Friday at 6:30 on Channel 2 and CBS 5.
Still ahead tonight, we take you inside the gates.
And in this case, it's about a dog that is much more than a man's best friend to a local veteran. We'll tell you why.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
They say a dog is a man's best friend.
But for one man who came up to Alaska to serve with the U.S. Army, that phrase might have a bit more meaning.
Georgina Fernandez speaks to one veteran about how his dog has changed his life in this week's Inside the Gates.
All right, come on.
Walking around Cuddy Park
Good boy.
is something Jeff Matthews used to struggle with.
I couldn't walk in a straight line. I would wobble.
That was before this four-legged guy walked into his life.
So he keeps me on a straight line. Good boy.
Meet Lux,
Atta boy.
his 4-year-old yellow lab.
From the minute we wake up to the minute we go to sleep, we're arms length apart. So, like, if I stand, he stands. I don't have to tell him. If I move, he moves.
The two were paired together in 2022 through America's Vet Dogs, a service dog program that helps enhance mobility and independence for veterans, active duty members, and first responders with disabilities.
Lux brings all my invisible disabilities to visibility.
Injuries linked to his 43 years of service with the U.S. Army.
I don't feel the ground when I'm walking. Lux, good boy. He helps me to feel where the stairs are. It just makes it where I can be part of society again and not... Folks don't look at me differently any longer. He's put me back to as close to 100% as I could get.
That ultimate definition of how a dog is a man's best friend. Inside the Gates, Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
And Melissa joins us with a bit of a preview of what's coming up tonight at 6:30.
Yeah, we have finally come to really the end of this particular storm system, but we will still see chances for some isolated snow showers as we head through the day tomorrow. And then watching another round of moisture pushing in late Friday and early Saturday morning. Now, here's the real good news. We will see much calmer, sunnier, but colder conditions as we head into the weekend. And then looking ahead to next week, you can see more chances for snow Monday, Wednesday, into Thursday. So this weekend, we'll just enjoy this weekend, Mike Maria.
Okay.
We will. Time to dig out.
Yes.
All right, much more coming up on Channel 2 at 6:30. Mayor Dave Bronson talking about a disaster declaration coming up in just a moment.